in the streaming world of what he believes to be of quality. But there is, unseen by most, an episodic horror-based TV show. A show that still holds up. A show called Tales from the Dark Side.
Okay, you guys want recruits? I'll give you a recruit that's gonna knock your stripes off. Oh, what's so special about you?
Welcome back to Talks from the Dark Side, the podcast where we talk about Tales from the Dark Side, the 80s horror anthology television show created by Richard Rubenstein and George Romero. I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Chris Barr.
Today we're talking about Fear of Floating, directed by John Lewis and written by Scott Edelman and Donald Wollner from May 23rd, 1986.
So, gentlemen, God bless the red, white, and blue, because this episode's all about a U.S. recruiting office, and that's what I got for you.
This is like a big, long commercial for join the United States Army.
Yeah, I would
Well, no one's joining if this is the fucking commercial.
I would rather see this than like all those like, I don't know what, like Michael Bay recruitment trailers that play before like movies and stuff.
That look like a movie trailer.
Yeah.
Join the Marines.
Join the Marines and you can be a Air Force person.
Be all you can
Be, yeah, in the Army. You remember that? Wasn't that a jingle?
Wait,
be all that you can be in the Army.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Uncle Sam pointing and all that jazz.
Oh man, you don't want Uncle Sam
from the
coming
movie
after you. Yeah.
Wait,
oh,
no.
God.
Yeah, man, we got another comedy episode,
Yes.
but it's fucking weird.
It's very weird.
It's weird.
It's also a star-studded episode.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot of big people in this one, so that's also fun. But yeah, before we get into this, can we get the Fangoria Tales from the Dark Side synopsis, please, Chris?
All right, so the Fangoria episode guide says, Arnold is a habitual liar whose fibs have a side effect more hazardous than a mere Pinocchio nose. Whenever he spouts a falsehood, he begins to float in midair. While hiding out in a remote army recruiting post, Arnold's fallacies get out of control, resulting in a dilemma similar to the first season's Levitation scenario. There it is.
They
At
just
least
stole
said
half
it.
of my jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of odd that they like referenced that because I think that's the first time that we've heard them talk about another episode within the series.
Yeah, they haven't done that before.
Like
So
corroborating.
I'll give them credit for that. It's
Yeah.
like you did your homework.
Not corroborating, correlating it.
I mean, so obviously Joe Turkel, let's just go into it now because they're talking about it, is the cause of all this.
You think so?
I mean, they're fucking saying in Fangoria.
So he didn't do it. He did the levitation more than twice before he
so
did it.
he was just another guy that went to the carnival
Yeah.
with Joe Turkel.
And he was like, "Fuck you, Joe Turkel! You can't do the levitation."
Says his full name.
Yeah.
I think Joe Turkel gave him a kiss and blew a little hot air in his mouth.
Oh, it could be the human balloon, as he likes to call himself. Question mark, maybe.
Definitely wasn't helium.
May or may not be the truth. We don't know yet. So we open up with this recruiting, the U.S. Army recruiting office with these two people like playing this dime store Stratego. They have like
tanks and
tanks
shit.
on a map, and they're like, "Oh, tell me your position, and I'll trade secrets, spy secrets, or something." And you're like, "Yeah, whatever."
Well, you don't know that they're playing a game at
Yeah,
first.
they're
That's
playing
the
a game.
joke.
I mean, no, they're playing a game.
No, they pan down to it after she's making it sound like they're talking about something serious, like, oh, we gotta take care of this, and it's like, B9!
Yeah.
There was like that weird, like real high up shot.
yeah.
It's like you don't see a lot of like creative shots like that a lot.
No.
You just like try.
There's a few in this one, actually.
It's also like a super hot day. There's no air conditioning. Everybody's sweating. I'm talking like Danny Glover Predator 2 levels of sweat on these people.
They don't got their jackets on, though.
No, they don't. But they got that big beaded pool on their back and under their armpits.
Corporal Marcia and Sergeant Buzz. Buzz! Not that Buzz behind me for
Buzz,
the video
your
watchers.
girlfriend.
Woof.
Yeah, not that Buzz either. This guy is also in The Big Lebowski. He's the Malibu cop who grills Lebowski, and he's like, I don't like your jerk-off attitude, I don't like your jerk-off face, and I don't like you, jerk-off. And then he throws
That's
a coffee
him.
mug
I
at
didn't
him.
even catch that.
He's a little skinnier in that, but it
Okay.
is him. He's an army guy in this, but basically similar character, but
close enough.
way sillier.
Yeah. So they're there, and they're going back and forth about this game and how it's so hot. They haven't had a recruit in 3 weeks.
Yeah, they make a point to say that. It's like, we need to get a live one.
If they don't, they're going to get, like, demoted.
Wow, they're cracking. I think that's also between the heat and just no one coming in. They're, like, losing it.
It's like, we got to get people in here. We got to get that big promotion, guys.
And lo and behold, somebody walks in.
Well, somebody's banging on the door. Let me in, because he's being chased by some killers. Or we get introduced to Arnold.
A bunch of zombies are chasing him, I think, honestly. The Horde's after him.
Who's
It's Bub.
It's Sherman Howard. It's Bub from Day of the Dead.
When I saw him on screen, I'm like, why does he look so damn familiar? I mean, the second you Google it, it's right there. But I was like, oh my God, he's just missing the damn headphones.
Right.
Well, and the green skin, obviously, but.
So we always like to do the connection of like, Tales and Monsters episodes.
Oh, yeah.
So the fun connection here with Bub himself, he's married. I don't know if you guys caught this.
No.
He's married to Linda from Parlour Floor Front.
No way.
Yep.
Huh.
And they're still married, apparently.
Now that's funny, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that episode was only that wasn't even that long ago.
No, in the scheme of things.
Crazy when you think about it,
right?
yeah. It was like, because it was
Same
only
season.
85.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they both worked on Tales from the Dark Side.
Weird.
Which is nuts, yeah.
You think they met there? Where did they meet?
Probably.
Maybe
think
someone
so?
that worked there could have
probably,
connected them,
yeah.
maybe.
Pittsburgh's a small place.
Yeah,
apparently.
they're both from there, I think. So he kicks down the door and he's like, "I'm being hunted. Like I need some place to hide out for a while." He's wearing sunglasses and shit. They're
He
like,
says he's a runaway circus slave.
he's a runaway circus. I was balloon boy. And he's like saying all this shit to them, like,
It's like such a weird story already. He's got these big boots on.
Oh, he's got the metal boots from Zelda.
yeah, he
the
does,
water
yeah,
boots.
yeah.
Fucking walks in like he's chained to the ground. He's just like all disheveled, this terrible tie and everything.
Yeah.
I guess because it's hot is the idea, but.
Yeah, and he's like, these armed slavers are after me, and you got to protect me. And he's like, well, we can't protect your son unless you sign up for the U.S. Army.
He's making it sound like he works for freaks. All those guys are coming after him at the end, turning into a chicken person.
He's like, well, what's so special about you? Why would you want to sign up for the Army? Well, like, for us to protect you, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not just special.
Check this out.
I'm downright incredible.
Unbuckles his shoes. Oh, God, yeah, right.
He unbuckles his shoes, and this fucking guy floats almost into the ceiling, but he gets grabbed and they pull him down.
Almost into the ceiling
into the
fan.
Almost
This
into
is
the fan.
literally fizzy lifting fucking drink. Straight up.
Yeah.
Literally.
This is what Wonka was warning him about.
I don't know who directed that movie. I can't for the life of me remember who wrote it, the book, I mean. But where was the damn lawsuit on this one? Not that you're going to sue Tales of the Dark.
You can't copyright an idea.
It is so on the nose, though, man. Like, especially where it goes. But yeah, there's like,
guess
the
so.
ceiling fan's gonna hit me. It's like, okay, it's a ceiling fan. Apparently, this is a metal one that has incredibly sharp edges because he puts his hand up to block it, and now his hand is just covered in cuts. I'm like, man, maybe that's how they were made back in the 80s, but that is a fucking danger.
I love how the guy in the Army recruit office is like, a floater. And
Like
you're
he
like,
knows.
what? And he's like,
He's seen one of these before.
Yeah, like-
Mulder's
knows-
ears perked up all the way in D.C.
yeah, like he knows about it.
He's like, get me the Pentagon.
Yeah. He's like, get me the Pentagon.
You're gonna be
calls
of
him.
great strategic importance. It's like, because this guy can float around.
Sign up, buddy.
So then, like, Marsha's, like, cleaning his wound. She's like, yeah, so what's really happening? Killers are after you?
She's like, what's it like to fly?
Oh, yeah, right.
Like,
yeah, yeah.
because he wants him to sign the papers, but he's not doing it yet.
To join the army.
Yeah, and she's like, well, what's it like to fly? He's like, well, I don't really fly. I float. It's very different.
Float around like a cloud.
I can't control which direction I'm in, and like a big gust of wind's like my worst enemy, and all this stuff.
Yeah, and he even talks about like floating too high and the thin air causing him to choke and not be able to breathe, and it's
And it's like,
cold.
What are
it's
you
cold.
talking about?
But I mean,
that's
he's
what
telling the
happened.
truth.
Yeah.
I saw Iron Man.
He's like, it all started about 5 months ago. She's like, you weren't born like this? He's like, no. I was in a circus or whatever. And these circus
Yeah, again
people
with like
are
a
after
circus story and everything. and-
That's John Turkel. That's where he
Yeah.
comes in.
me. Yeah, it's for sure.
Oh, it's the same
sideshow.
circus.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clowns from Clown House are right around the corner, dude.
Yep.
Right in the other tent. So the dude comes out with all the paperwork and he's like, oh, you got to sign this over or else we can't protect you because you're not part of the army yet. And once you are, we will be, we'll protect you.
I'll have my lawyer look
And he's
at
like,
this
oh, I'm
first.
gonna
Yeah,
I'm
he's
gonna
a
have my
little
lawyer
reluctant.
look at this.
They're like, I
That's
know.
not how it works. You either sign or you fucking walk. And
get
he's
out
like,
of our office.
All right. So he signs the papers. And this guy's so satisfied with himself. He's like, he signed it.
Well, then he hears some kind of weird noise. You hear like a woman scream or something outside or a car pull up and he's like, Is that them?
And
That's gotta be them.
He's like, did you hear that? They're here.
The circus people.
The circus people, the fat man and the midget.
Yeah, what does he say?
He
Like
says
the midget,
the killer
like-
dwarf.
Yeah,
The killer dwarf. Olga, the killer
Yeah.
dwarf, and
Lady.
and the fat man are here to kill him.
I mean, hey, you know what? They had my fucking, they had me hooked, let's say, because I'm like, all right, so is a clown and a fucking pregnant dwarf about to walk in? Because they make a note about, oh, she looks pregnant.
Well, she's just fat.
And I'm
She's
like,
the fat dwarf.
I'm trying to picture like Batman Returns or something. I'm like, okay, like, where?
Oswald Cobblepot.
Right, no, seriously, though, because again, the other shoe hasn't dropped yet. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you could read between the lines, but I'm like, all right. So they're in this fucking place. They're like, all right, well, they're coming up. And the guy's got the fucking revolver.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, you get back there. And then the fucking window gets blown out
Yeah,
by a
you just
shotgun.
shoot up
They
the
shoot
station.
a hole in it.
Okay, I guess.
They blow a hole in the window, and Marsha looks outside. She's like, she's not fat. She looks pregnant. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, she's a fat dwarf.
Big bones.
She's
She could transform what she looks like.
She
Don't
can-
believe her.
Don't listen to them. They're a bunch of liars and thieves and con artists, he says.
So then they're like, oh, actually, one of them has a white flag. They're waving it.
Yeah.
Don't believe them.
Yeah. They're going to kill us all. So they come in, and the first person to walk through the door is Yeardley Smith.
Right.
Lisa Simpson herself.
And she is packing, dude. She's got a bun
Oh,
in the
yeah.
oven, and all I kept thinking about was her in City Slickers when she comes
yeah.
over to Daniel Stern, and
Yeah.
she's like, I think I'm pregnant. It was in his car.
Oh, God.
I don't like to mention the MDU too much on the show in the dark side, but like,
leave it to me then, Joe.
but like, I'm telling you, dude, you think like Spider from Bushwhacked knocked her up in this
you mean
timeline.
Marv Merchants or Daniel Stern, rather.
No, Daniel Stern, yeah.
Yeah. I guess he did kind of turn into Spider. We just started calling him that, right? Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
In City Slickers, that was another gig
yeah,
he
that was
did.
him.
Yeah.
No, it's a split timeline.
And then later she goes and moves to wherever Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad live in Jingle All the Way, because it's a cutscene, but she is also in that. And I'm sure other things besides Simpsons. But, you know, the second she starts
after
talking.
they get married, and then it's Maximum Overdrive.
Oh.
Yeah, well, there
she's
you
in
go.
that, I forgot.
Easily the most annoying character.
I gotta rewatch it. I forgot she's in it.
Clarence!
She's cute.
I guess.
I never really thought about it that way. It's Lisa Simpson,
Yeah.
but I guess so.
So she comes in with her dad, and
Who is not a clown, a fat clown. He's
no,
a man in
he-
overalls
These
with a
are
shotgun.
these are not circus people. This is shotgun wedding that's about to happen right now, and it's clearly obvious from
Literal shotgun.
literal shotgun wedding. And he's about to blow away Arnold, and the guy's like, "No, put it down, Mister. You know he's a valuable asset to the U.S. government." He's like, "What is he gonna do for you? Lie the enemy to death?" And
Whatever
you're
he
like,
told you, if you think he's valuable, he lied.
He's like, this is Good Time Rita. They're like, what's your name? She's like, I'm Beth Ann.
Good time, Rita. That's her alias.
That's what he calls her.
I know.
He's
no,
like,
I'm
what
saying
is
it's
he?
funny.
It says, oh, she's a true professional.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
It's like,
saying that
at this point, you're just like you're so lost. It's like who do
Well,
you believe here?
he's so
and yeah, that's kind of the point. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a pathological liar, and he's so good at it.
Well,
Like it's ridiculous.
the secret is now out because then
Yeah.
she's like, didn't you tell him you're just a pharmacist? And he's like,
He's a
No.
he's a pharmacist, and Marsha's like, "What? I
Yeah,
thought you
what
were with
are
the
you talking about?
circus." And he's like, "Bam, timpani hit."
And he kind of folds like pretty quick.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
soon
yeah.
as she's like, oh wait,
Oh yeah.
you left me at the altar. Is that true?
He tells the most wonderful stories. He puts me on his knee and he tells me all this stuff. And then Dad's like, "Yeah," and then he fucked her.
and then he floated away.
And then he floated away. And then he's like, "Well, you
Laughing.
gotta marry my daughter." And when I told him that, he laughed so hard he floated to the ceiling.
And now here's the thing. It's like I didn't even like think of this watching the episode, but like before we were sat down to do this, I was thinking, I'm like, wait, maybe like what they're trying to say here is like he was so full of hot air.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the-
That's literally it.
I think
Yeah.
that's the
yeah.
joke here. So Marsha calls him out, and he's like, "Oh, you lied about it all." And the other dude, what's his name?
Buzz.
Like, Sergeant, yeah, Buzz. He's like, I almost gunned down all those innocent people and you're over this shit.
Because you said they were killers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't like them.
And he's like, "Well, I don't want to. I think it's cause enough to shoot him."
Also, they're like having this conversation while Arnold's now floating in the air to prove that he's special. And there's just like, not quite a Mexican standoff, but like Mr. Cooper's got the shotgun on him and Buzz has got the
Yeah.
revolver on him. And they're like having this whole conversation.
You know, he signs himself over to the army, but the whole thing is like Beth Ann wants him to like confess his love for her and like be with her and marry him.
Be a father.
So like he's got the shotgun in his face. And he's just like, oh, all right, I swear I'll love you forever and I'll take care of your baby. I'll be a great dad.
Yeah, he owns up and you think he's being sincere.
But he is because he stops floating and he hits the ground.
No longer full of hot air.
I got my gravity back. Or whatever.
My weight back.
My weight back. That's what he says, my weight back.
Then the second that Beth Ann and Dad leave, getting ready to have the wedding, come on, we'll meet you there.
Everybody leaves except for Marcia and Arnold.
Hey, Marcia, you're looking pretty good right now.
She's like, hey, that's real nice.
Yeah, he's coming on like real strong.
He's like, you got a nice mouth. And he like starts like kissing her and shit.
And she's pushing him away like, what the fuck?
She
Wait a
bites him on
second,
the
what
lip.
about turning the other cheek and,
I lied.
Yeah.
She's like, you go to hell. And then all of a sudden he starts floating again because he's like full of shit. Because he's like, I love you or something like that.
Well, the pisser is when he finally drops, now Buzz is like, fuck, we got nothing. And then when he starts floating again and Marcia leaves the room, Buzz comes back and is like, all right, the Pentagon's waiting.
Yeah. Well, she tells him to go to hell and he like floats all the way up the ceiling and like hits that fan that we see in the beginning.
Yeah, it shows the shot again of the fan.
And Buzz comes in and he's like, all right, my boy, we're all good to go. And then there's just a huge blood splatter on his face from Arnold hitting the fan.
He just stands there smiling.
He's like, well, there it goes. Another floater
Covered
gone.
in blood and it keeps spurting on him. It's like he's just like up there getting chopped up. Like
we were talking about this with the Strange Love episode where like you saw like a vampire get literally staked without cutting away in the blood, and then there's blood on this guy's face, and like Sean and I were talking, and we were like, is this just because the censors at the time for television were becoming more lenient with this stuff? Because you didn't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's been way more graphic.
Especially the back half of the season.
Yeah.
I think that could be it. And especially too, it's like, later when you get to, monsters.
Yeah.
It's like there's more in that show too.
I was saying that to him
So
too.
maybe they do like, ease up a little bit.
There's like decapitations. There's all kinds of stuff in that in monsters.
Oh wow.
Real gross shit. Where you're like, oh, that was on television. You don't think about it now,
No,
but
sure.
but at the time they weren't showing that stuff.
Well, it's not like it's HBO or something.
No.
It's
Yeah,
like
now imagine being a
CBS.
kid and watching that and being like, this is awesome.
Yeah, well, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Saturday night or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it kind of wraps up. What do we think of this episode, guys?
I think it's a weird episode with a weird ending, and also, I mean, just to top it off, we've got weird characters.
Yeah.
It's like everyone here is like sort of just, it's like, what is happening? There's just like a lot, like the guy going, telling this story after another, and it's like you don't know what is actually happening. If he's telling the truth and he turns out he's not. It's just like a lot coming at you, and it's like you're like, what is this episode? And by the time it's over, you're like, all right, like, okay.
I think this is the best comedy episode of the season. I thought this episode was fucking great. Maybe if I watch them back to back, my opinion will change, Chris. I see you looking at me. I thought this was great. I thought this was a 5 out of 5. I love surreal as shit. I mentioned Tim and Erica. If it was not this episode, the last one felt very Tim and Eric-y. Maybe not as gross or as many cutaways as Tim and Eric, but a lot of weird camera angles, a lot of close-ups on people just sweating, looking gross. And then just, I kind of like Yeardley Smith. I like the hot air metaphor once you do kind of figure out what's happening, and can't help but think of Willy Wonka, so maybe I kind of like it for that too. Just very funny. Facial expressions, the one-liners. I feel like we didn't do a lot of the one-liners justice, but it's just one silly fucking thing after another. And if you're not there for it, then you probably aren't going to like this one. But if you're like me, who is into that kind of zany shit, I think they do have a message at the end, even if it's just kind of overshadowed by, well, he just fucking dies anyway.
Watch out for ceiling fans.
Yeah, that's the real message.
That's the message.
Yeah, not don't lie. Yeah. It's just a lot of fun. I like this one. I'm definitely going to be rewatching this one.
These are always dicey for me because like I enjoy this episode, but I don't feel like it has any place in Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
It's fair.
It's a comedy episode, and like John was saying, it does have these surrealist kind of things going for it. It's not so absurdist to the point where I'm like, this is like a something along the lines of like Tim and Eric or something. It doesn't really.
You don't think so?
I don't.
I
think
guess
so.
like right to that extreme, like I just said.
Yeah, it's not absurdist in those terms. I think it's just like they're trying to be funny, and they
Zany.
It's
Zany,
zany, and they
yeah, that's a better
mostly
word.
succeed. I mean, like I said, I like this episode. I think it's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got like no place in this series, in my opinion, and I feel like that for a lot of episodes come when we get to season 4, but it's not bad by any means. Like, I have a good enough time watching it. I wouldn't skip it. I think Howard Sherman's great in it, like really good.
Yeah.
I think he really holds it together. If it was anybody else, I don't think I would have been as invested because he's that good of an actor. And I love when he's like embellishing the stories and telling them all this crazy shit. I think that's so funny, especially when you get to the punchline and you're like, oh. And then there's like little, like I think the 2 weakest people are the people that run the
actual military
recruiting
people.
thing. Yeah, it's like a weird Pinocchio metaphor.
Yeah, they said that in Fangoria.
Yeah, there's a weird. Yeah, there's a.
Yeah, don't be nice. Tell the truth and
Or you're gonna
be
float
true,
into a fan.
or you're gonna float
Or
into
into
a
space, as
fan.
he implies,
Or
like
into
levitation.
space.
That guy definitely, as we talked about in that episode, is dead.
And then there's like a weird thing where it's like, well, keep your feet on the ground and don't like tell
That too.
stories
Yeah, that's another
or
one.
fantasize.
Yeah, and join the army.
Yeah.
She even says, "Oh, well, that too."
It's so muddy on like where
Right.
what the moral of the story
Yeah.
is here because there's so many weird different facets to it.
Because she even says, like, "Oh yeah, we don't go to the movies. He just tells
He
stories."
just tells stories, which I thought was kind of interesting.
So this is the second instance in this show.
Yeah.
That you have levitation and a circus to like as themes together.
Even if it ends
And
up
it's
being
like,
a lie.
is that that's just a really strange like which one of these writers went to a fair and something like went horribly wrong?
Well, I think Arnold saw that episode and then made up the story and
Yeah.
used the story to tell them.
That's
They're
what
like,
it
yeah, I
is.
went to a circus and some guy made
Yeah.
me, Joe Torkel made me levitate.
Oh yeah, we talked about it. Makeout session.
It's good with an asterisk.
Yeah.
And that's
I think so.
and that's my opinion. It feels more like Amazing Stories with like a grim twist on it or something. You know what I mean? Like, this guy
That's actually
floats,
a good. That's
you know what
actually
I
a
mean?
very good explanation of it.
Yeah.
For it's again like the characters are fine.
Yeah.
The actors are great. It's just like there's like it's like too zany for me.
Yeah.
But I know I see where you're coming from, Sean.
No,
It's like,
yeah.
you do like these episodes.
I do, generally speaking. And at on the same token, like I said, I understand where you guys are coming from too. It's like when you watch enough of these episodes, you're gonna know which ones you're gonna like,
Yeah.
and you know which ones you're not gonna like, and then there's a little in between where you're just surprised.
Yeah.
But
Well, I enjoy the episode. I like it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has a place in Tales from the Dark
Yeah,
Side. You know what I
right.
mean?
hey, you like the last episode? You're in the middle. Let's get one red light on and one blue.
Yeah, well, I got a pink light and a green light,
Here
so
we
I'm
go.
right in the middle.
The movie dumpster
Yeah,
lighting.
The movie dumpster lighting.
The
yeah.
talks
I'm
lighting.
in limbo. Ain't it glorious?
Can I leave? No. Oh.
You're stuck here forever.
I mean, we got all these tapes, so I think we'll live. Just need a little food.
But yeah, Chris, you got some Midnight Madness coming up. Hit us with it.
Yeah, so I have more Midnight Madness up ahead, more movie screenings, secret VHS screenings, all sorts of fun events. So if you're not following me already, follow me on Instagram at tape_hell to see what I got coming up. And there's always something to look forward to. So check it out.
Get ready because Fulci Fest returns to Midnight Madness with Fulci Fest 2, Saturday, August 31st at 10 p.m. Chris has got The Psychic, Conquest, City of the Living Dead, and Don't Torture a Duckling. So head on down to Basie Center Cinemas on 36 White Street in Red Bank, New Jersey, and choose your own Fulci double feature. We'll see you there.
But yeah, let us know what you think of Fear of Floating in the comments. And if you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, like this video, subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast app, do us a favor, leave a 5-star review because it helps the show reach more listeners, more fans of Tales from the Dark Side. But until next time, I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Chris Barr.
Tales from the Dark Side is always there, waiting for us to watch it, waiting for us to hit play. Until next time, try to find it on DVD and watch along with us.